You wanna guess the color of my underwear? You wanna know what I got going on down there? Is it pretty in pink?
Hello, my darlings. Welcome back to Front Row, the confidential editions. I'm Audrey Charlyes, and I'm fresh off the ground from Paris Couture Week. And I need to decompress with you guys because this was a week. So here is my first confession. Paris Couture Week is my favorite moment in fashion. Everybody knows that. Every single season, no contest. Nothing touches it. But somebody at the Federation needs to explain to me why we are showing fall-winter collections. Wool, silicone, boiled feather, and molded bustier. The whole heavy-duty arsenal in actually the middle of the heatwave. With the World Cup running at the same time, half of Paris either is at a match or trying to get to one. Some of these venues had zero air conditioning. Some shows were literally staged outside under a tent, under the sun. No mercy. So picture the front row, celebrities in full couture, blotting their faces between looks, smiling through it for the step and repeat. And let's be honest with each other. It is not everybody that smells good after 2 hours in latex in July. The clothes were extraordinary. The room has a war zone. Literally was a war zone. Two things can be true. But let's actually get into the collections because contrary to what my sweat glands would have you believe, most of them were genuinely seriously great. Schiaparelli, the one that opened the week and broke my brain, little Danielle Roseberry opened Couture Week, as he always does. And this season, he basically declared war on his own house codes. He put out a manifesto, and I'm paraphrasing here, about surrendering to the unknown instead of repeating what worked last time. So instead of the usual silk, satin, wool trifecta, he built the entire collection out of latex, silicone, dried flowers, seashells, fish scales, and sheets of baked paint sculpted into silhouettes. We are talking flesh tone silicone, panels down the back that genuinely read like gills. We are talking glossy molded corset, so stiff they looked pneumatic. Bad Bunny made his couture debut in the front row in buttercream suit with a gilded tie styled like a plate around his neck. Very much a look, I will say. Emma Corrin came dressed like a bird, had personally blessed them. Full feather funnel neck, talons, and all. Michelle Yeoh was there, watching it all happen. It was gorgeous. It was divine. It was made of silicone. Mind you, this is July with no air conditioning. Silicone in the heat. I need you to sit with that irony for a second because I certainly did for 2 hours sweating. Chanel, the fairy tale and the discourse that follow, Matthieu Blazy, second couture outing for Chanel. And this one had a whole narrative built in. The first model walked out with a century-old leather-bound book of fairy tales that actually belonged to Coco Chanel herself. And from there, the whole collection unspooled like a folklore piece. Climbing vines, beanstalk heels, little magpie treasures, tucked into the tailoring. Genuinely lovely, delicate, translucent, very restrained in a way that let the craftsmanship speak itself instead of shouting for attention. Now, I will say, the internet was not fully sold. There is a whole thread of people calling this collection copy and paste, accusing him of just reserving his debut with a new coat of archive dust. I don't fully agree with that statement. Here is where I landed. At the start of his tenure, I genuinely didn't get what he was doing. But then, I saw what he did in New York, and I think it was Seoul too, and something clicked into places. He has like a way of expressing his own point of view while still bowing to the house code. He's not erasing Chanel, to make room for himself. No, he's revamping it respectfully, patiently. There is much harder needle to thread than people give him credit for. And he's threading it, darlings. Now, let's move on to Dior. Jonathan Anderson Forest and the small matter of a $15 million wedding dress. Okay. Anderson walked into this show fresh off arguably the biggest cultural moment of his entire career. He dressed both Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce for the wedding days earlier, which reportedly generated something like $50 million in media value for the house over one weekend. Yes, no pressure, darling. Sophomore collection. And then he still delivered it. He turned the gardens of the Musée Rodin into an actual forest, drawing on the Sculptural, three-dimensional work of artist Linda Benglis, and layer in Indian craft references, chintz fragments sourced from an 18th century specialist dealer, dually co-created with artisans in Jaipur. His vision for Dior isn't interested in preserving the house the way people will expect. He's wiped away the overly precious version of Dior and replaced it with something that has its own identity, its own spine. It's still poetry, just a different dialect than what we're used to from that house. Sculptural, architectural, global in its references. Not classic Dior romance, genuinely, properly interesting. Stéphane Rolland, beautiful, consistently, dependably beautiful. This is a house I will defend any day, any times, no notes. Robert Woon. The 25 minutes I will rewatch on a loop. This little guy is an actual genius, and I will fight anyone on this one. He's been running non-stop for 2.5 years and openly admitted he was exhausted going into his collection. So he went back to childhood for inspiration. Watch a Miyazaki interview about building worlds children can believe in, and built a whole surrealist nursery out of it. Ballerinas in peeled back felt bodices with jewelry box, figurines perched on the heads, transparent astronaut helmets referencing a childhood space camp his parents actually enrolled him in. And then the finale. Real balloons jutting straight out of the tailored looks, which he said made both him and his stylist nervous backstage, and honestly fair. He also unveiled a Pop Mart School Panda collaboration, an inflatable takeover of the whole venue. He doesn't show 1,000 pieces. This was 25 looks. 25 minutes of pure joy, literally. No filler, no padding, just precision and magic from the first look to the last one. See, I'm still out of breath from this one. Giorgio Armani Privé, designed this season by Silvana Armani, and it closed out its day with exactly the unapologetic all-the-world glamour you will want. Elegant, polished, exactly what the house promises. Executed beautifully. Rahul Mishra, the one that made me want to sit in a museum, tilted divine, the eternal muse, and this was, by his own words, the most India-inspired collection he ever put out. Pulling from the Ajanta caves, a 12th century stone dancer, temple architecture translated into drape, velvet, beaded gowns that look like antique deities brought to life, a gold trompe-l'oeil drape dress that looked poor rather than soon. He also launched his first fine jewelry line this season, co-signed with Tanishq, folding in his signature hexagon motifs. Beautiful, spiritually grounded, and beautifully executed. I love it properly. Ashi Studio, the workout for your eyes. Now, Mohamed Ashi made history this season as the first designer from the Gulf region on the official couture calendar. And he used it to stage a collection inspired by the 1972 Rothschild Surrealist Ball. Skirt draped to look frozen mid-air, bodices molded so tight they read like a second skin melting into mermaid tail. This house is as a real number because the design speaks to you before you even process what you are looking at. It's disciplined, it's intentional. It hits like a workout. You feel it in your chest. Here is the thing, my love. If I take the 10 or 15 shows I sat through over those 3 days, most of them were great. A handful were interesting, and a good chunk genuinely delivered. And if this had shown against an actually crisp fallback drop instead of heatwave with a World Cup running in the background, they would have landed even harder. The designs would have made more sense in context instead of fighting the season they were forced to exist in. Paul Gaultier. The debut nobody fully sold on yet. This was Durand Atlantic second collection or first collection. As a creative director, I think it is second. 6 months into the job, and I want to be diplomatic about this. I'm sorry. But I also want to be honest with you guys. Technically, fine. Nicely made. But the house keeps pulling in outside talent to reinterpret its own archive. Season after season. And at some point, that stopped feeling like a fresh perspective and start feeling like the house doesn't fully know what it is anymore. It's not memorable. No, it's not. It's not the Gaultier that used to define this entire calendar, the one everyone rushed to see. We will see where Atlantic takes it, but this one didn't stay with me. Nah. Standing ground, a newcomer to the official calendar this season. And honestly, very nice. Worth keeping an eye on. So, my darlings, that was my read on the season. Paris Couture Week is still, hands down, my favorite fashion moment of the entire year. But the timing is actively working against the clothes. The talent on display was undeniable. The vision was there in almost every room. The execution was, in most cases, genuinely incredible. The houses just deserve a moment where the audience can actually enjoy the craft instead of surviving the room it's shown in. Let's take a small moment to talk about Berlin Fashion Week before we close the show. A quick acknowledgement, because I want to take 30 seconds to acknowledge Berlin Fashion Week, because I was invited to cover all 3 days and it was genuinely beautiful. I can't cover every show in this episode, but here are 5 that stood out and got people talking. Richert Beil brought something theatrical and dark. Lou de Bètoly is deconstructing vintage silhouette while playing with aristocratic codes. GmbH delivered raw industrial energy. William Fan went architectural and minimal in the best way. And Clara Colette Miramon closed with surreal silhouette and a handwork that genuinely felt like poetry. Berlin has a different energy, younger, more experimental, more willing to take risks. So the whole Berlin Fashion Week team who invited me, thank you guys. I will definitely be back. And that's officially wrapping season 2 of Front Row. Paris Couture, Berlin, all of it. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being here every week or almost. We are already deep in planning for season 3, and I promise you, it's coming with more. more things, more guests, more access, and more of us. Lovely darlings, this was Audrey Charlyes, and I need to take my vacation now. Bye!
You wanna guess the color of my underwear, you wanna